Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Genuinely Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi and welcome to the podcast. How you doing? I hope you're faring well in this bizarre weather that we're having here in the UK. Oh my goodness, how on earth have we coped with the heat? I know I shouldn't complain, but honestly, it's impossible, isn't it? It's absolutely impossible to do anything if you're kind of, other than if you're hanging by a beach, which of course is fabulous, to try and get anything done. It's been exhausting, and trying to sleep is kind of impossible as well. So if you're lucky enough to have been on holiday, or maybe you're somewhere cool, I mustn't forget that we've got a lot of international listeners who are not having quite the same extreme weather that we're having here. And as I'm recording this podcast, you might hear rumbles in the background. And it's not my tummy. We've got thunder going on at the moment. It's just been so odd. I mean, the other day there was literally hailstones and everything was kind of white on the ground. It's so weird. Anyways, I really hope you've had a good week, and you're doing well. It's been a very interesting week. We did a 100 days sober, or first 100 days sober group coaching in the Sober Club that I'm the founder of this week. And it was really interesting just to focus on those people who are either in the very early stages of ditching the booze, or have sort of been there, done it, and then gone back, and then you know the word I'm talking about, the relapse word, which I hate. But anyway, they tripped up and they went back, and now they just really want to focus on making the last day one their last ever day one, because every time you go back, it gets harder, and most of us were grey area drinkers. We were drinking not because we were at rock bottom or alcohol dependent, but we were just somewhere on that spectrum. And most of us have stopped and then started again. But the freedom that comes from staying stopped is just absolutely incredible. So, that was an interesting coaching call. And I hope that I was able to get that across and just inspire people. I guess that's what I'm quite good at, is putting a positive spin on all of this, because I've been there, done it, and got the t-shirt. Anyways, I'm so thrilled that this week we've teamed up with Gin-esque. I mean, this is such a great brand. If you used to like gin when you were drinking, or maybe you still are drinking, and gin is your favourite tipple, then you're really going to love this brand. You have to check them out. Because, well, I'll let David tell you himself. We're going to interview David, and he'll tell you all about how the brand came about. It's quite a unique and fascinating story. So I thought you might be interested to hear that, and some great ideas for how you can mix up an alcohol-free cocktail. See, I nearly said mocktail, but I remembered that Camille Vidal says no. We absolutely just call them cocktails, but they do not have to have alcohol. Absolutely right. Also, today's guest is just such a lovely woman, Susie Pearl. Now, I've known Susie for a lot of years. She has a whole string of credentials to her name. She used to work in PR, and my goodness, if you got her dropping names, you'd be catching them left, right and centre. There isn't anyone she hasn't worked with, all of the great and good, really. And she's going to be on Graham Norton's show as well. So how cool is it that she was kind enough to do this? Anyways, she has a really great book out. She's written many books in the past, and she's slightly changed course for this one, but it's called The Art of Creativity. And I really wanted to interview Susie for this book, because if you've been listening to the podcast, you'll know that I talk so much about how when you ditch the booze, it unlocks creativity within you, and just something magical happens. And when I say creativity, as we will get into in the conversation, I'm not necessarily saying you have to become a painter. That's not how it works. But there's just something really magical about looking to creativity, just as part of your kind of health and well-being, really, and just living your best life. It really does become such a part of it. And we've had some really interesting guests on the podcast. I interviewed Sharon, the London artist, a while back. And there's been a few people who have, and of course lots of writers who have encouraged us all to journal and to write. And within the Sober Club, I see it time and time again. People ditch the booze and then they start painting again or knitting again or making stuff or whatever it is for them. And so I just love this book. And of course, it's interesting because coming out of lockdown, well, depending on where you are in the world, this has been the time when some people have found their creativity again. I went into one of the high street stores that sells, kind of art supplies, to get some stuff for my daughter before she goes back to school. And I just wanted basics, like I wanted some paint and a sketchbook. And the guy said, we're all out of white paint. You can't get it anywhere. Certain colours of paint you just can't get. And we don't have any A4 sketch pads because literally the whole world have become artists during lockdown. And I suppose, that's great news, right? If it's encouraged some of us to kind of go back to our creative, to be able to find enjoyment in creativity, then that's a fantastic thing. So I hope you really love this interview. As I say, I'm going to talk to David about the gin-esque drinks after. But first off, let's hear this interview with Susie. My guest is Susie Pearl, a best-selling writer, mentor, podcaster, coach to Hollywood A-listers. She regularly hosts workshops on creative writing, visioning, and meditation. And I met Susie, gosh, it must be a long time ago. And you live in Ibiza. That's a good place to be locked down. Now, there's so much to say about you. I'm not sure where we start, really. You've done just so many amazing, incredible things, and you kind of wear lots of hats. So I don't know where we should start. I mean, maybe we should talk about just a little bit about your sort of background working with some, amazing, mega famous people, and your work with PR. And I'm always very grateful to you because years ago when I was, I still do sort of work with people who want to grow their business and want to get themselves, in the media. And I sort of work with them on how they become good interviewees, because having been on both sides of the mic, I've seen people who don't always, have the right, haven't always got the interviewee skills. But you also did a fabulous interview for me, which was so helpful for other people. So I know you're hugely generous. And it's interesting because often when people think about big mega stars and the people that work with them, there's always this kind of, everyone thinks of PR as having this kind of murky spin attached to it. But you're one of the loveliest people I've ever met. So I'm not even sure that's a question. Tell us about your past then, which is not murky at all.
No, it's pretty clean past. I mean, I've had a journey to this point, which is, I guess, quite extraordinary when I look at it now, a little bit of retrospect. At the time, it seemed totally normal. I had a job, I worked in TV and I moved to MTV, and I really wanted to work with music in the music industry. And I worked with MTV when it had just begun, and there was just a handful of us running the whole thing. And my first job, when I walked in, they said, could you go to New York next week? And I went, yeah, sure. And they said, we're doing the movie awards there. I said, okay, great. What do you want me to do? And they said, oh, you'll work it out as you go along. I'm like, okay. So I tip up, and the first room I walk into, there's Michael Jackson sitting there. Yeah. And he said, do you mind if I dance? And I said, no, that's great. I'd love you to. Because he was rehearsing for the Radio City Hall Video Music Awards. So that was my first entree into MTV. And I found out that I get on really well with very famous people because I don't really care. You know, I talk to my son always says to me, Mum, you can talk to anyone from whoever to whoever. So I've always done very well working with very famous people. And Janie, one thing that kind of got me on the track, because I was working with people at the top of their game who were very successful, loads of money, doing really well, loads of hits, singles and fast selling albums. But a lot of them weren't very happy, I saw, behind the scenes. And that kind of led me off onto a really interesting journey about what is happiness, what makes us happy, what makes a good life. Because I was working with these people who are genius, loads of money, many living in Hollywood, living the dream, but not quite living the dream. And their lives were lacking in other areas, which made them turn to other things, drink, drugs, just an unhappy life and not many friends. And I thought, this is really interesting because I'm here. I know I'm going to live an extraordinary life. I want to find out how to do that. And I want to find out what are the components of being happy. So that kind of sent me off on the journey to start writing about and thinking and being a researcher on happiness.
Absolutely. And I know that you actually ran a PR agency in the West End and worked with a lot of big stars. I mean, that must have been very interesting as well. Again, I'm guessing you saw a lot of unhappiness despite great wealth.
Yeah. And, you know, my PR, I mean, it does have a murky side in that we're in charge of putting a gloss on everything, you know, and we were working with the best. I mean, I was working with Madonna and the Spice Girls and all sorts of really fun projects. And we were working with the best makeup artists, costume. Everything was top end. Everyone we worked with was great at their game, which means it's really fun working because you're only working with people who are exceptionally good. So the results are always amazing. But of course, that carries with it its own stuff. It was quite cutthroat, quite very pressurized. You know, I didn't realize till I left the business how pressurized that was. But it was fun. And I wouldn't have changed it for the world. And I learned an awful lot. I learned an awful lot about what it means to be very successful and also how to be successle and a nice person. And they often don't go together. We've learned that being successful, a bit cutthroat, not, you know, kind of cutting people off or not being very nice in your tactics. But what I learned and I decided to learn about was how to be successful whilst, you know, having a successful life and being a good person. That's always been quite important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you
spirituality
you wrote,
has been important to me. You know, I kind of, I've been a meditator for many years, and that's really helped me deal with this crazy fast lane life. And it wasn't till I had a meltdown, of course, that I began to reach out for help in the form of these kind of things, meditation and so on.
Yeah, sure. We'll definitely talk more about that. And I know you wrote a while back, I think it was, wasn't it? Instructions for Happiness and Success, a book about how to use your mind. Is that one that's been re-released, that book?
Yeah, I'm re-releasing it now.
Oh, great.
It's just come out this month, first time as an ebook.
Okay,
it's many people's favourite book, and many people buy a stack load of them to give to friends and things.
Yeah.
So I reread it again the other day. It's a really good book. Talks about how to manifest, how to use your mind very powerfully. You know, the most powerful thing in the universe is our mind, and it can pull us down or it can lift us up, and it can, if we use it wisely, we can create amazing things and create miracles. And I wrote a book about this, and when I read it now, it was like the distillation of everything I'd been learning over 15, 20 years I put into this book. I read it now, and I don't think there's another book actually that describes manifestation in this way. It's very technique-y driven. You know, I worked with the creator of NLP, Dr. Richard Bandler, and Paul McKenna. I ran their personal training company for many years, and I learned the value of having techniques and tools to deal with issues, or, you know, to deal with mental health issues or issues that people might have, phobias and so on. I learned all these techniques and how to have a nice life techniques. So I loaded them all in there. And so it's a very technique-led book.
Fantastic. I look forward to reading that again. And obviously now you've launched The Art of Creativity. I mean, I just love the whole concept of this. It's absolutely amazing. Just before we get on to talk about that though, in the years since you were really sort of rocking the PR world, of course, everything has changed so massively with the rise of social media. So I'd just be interested to know your take on how all of that affects us, in the sense that absolutely everybody now is only seeing the best of other people, if you see what I mean. So all of us, every single everyday person, suffers a sort of stress by looking at everyone else's amazing life. And very few people post, themselves in their PJs looking crap and feral and feeling miserable.
Yeah.
And so there's this massive pressure. Whereas back in the day when, you were running your PR agency and I was doing my stuff, and, that was, even 8-9 years ago, I think it was different to the way it is now.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a step change with social media and, and use of phones. The whole being on a screen thing has become such an issue of our times.
Yeah.
A friend of mine wrote a book, How to Break Up with Your Phone, because
really?
we're all
That's
connected
a great title.
It's a great title.
Yeah.
We're all connected heavily to our screens, especially children are now as well, growing up as well as adults. And I think social media is responsible for a lot of mental health issues. Kids don't have the discernment to know that isn't like real life. Yeah. And I think as grown-ups, we understand that life is up and down, has good bits and not such good bits, and can be tricky to navigate. And I think when we're watching these heavily curated feeds of people looking fantastic, having gorgeous girlfriends or boyfriends and the latest clothes and looking fantastic, it makes us feel inadequate. Any normal person would feel like, and without the right filters, would feel overwhelmed by this. So I think it has created a very difficult aspect of being a human, this social media. Even though we can talk immediately to the globe and get messages out very quickly, that's not always a good thing, because the research on happiness shows that there are a few things that make us happy. One is giving to others, or being authentically who you are, which means not just giving the bullshit of what's going on, but actually being real. I'm not having such a good day. I'm finding it very difficult. This person really upset me. Having some authenticity and having people to talk to. And lockdown has created this vacuum for many people, that they haven't had people to talk to. They haven't had a community to lean into. They haven't had friends around. Their family may be a long way away. All of these things we know about. They've been discussed at length, but they do have a big impact on mental health. Yeah. My advice if you want to help yourself, is switch off the news. Don't sit on the news feeds watching all these horrible things. If things are upsetting you, you have a choice. The main thing I want to say about happiness is, well, there are many things to say, but one of them is happiness is a choice. It's a feeling. And all the things that we do are aimed at giving us good feelings. Addictions are about having feelings. If you're addicted to shopping, for example, you want the hit of feeling good after buying stuff. You don't really want that stuff. You want the feeling. Yeah. And this is the thing I learned about, in all of the therapies that I learned, I became expert in. Like, I was working with Richard and Paul, who were the developers of NLP. Richard invented NLP. He was the co-creator of it. And really, we build associations with things. When I buy that thing, it gives me a dopamine rush. I feel good. Yeah. I have that cigarette, and I've learnt to associate smoking with drinking and feeling good. Well, actually, you know what? We have total power to change associations that don't work for us, break those associations, and create new routines. My new book is about daily habits of highly creative people, it happens to be. But actually, it's about daily habits. Make habits your friend. Have a look at your routine. And I think when we get locked down, we had the opportunity, are having the opportunity to really examine, what do we do every day? What is our routine? Does it serve us? Is it healthy? Is it making us feel good?
Yeah.
And, one of the things that many people have turned to is creativity. So it's a very hot topic right now.
Absolutely. Now, I do a lot of work with, I have a community called the Sober Club, and a lot of people have kind of ditched the booze. And as you say, they've been exactly as you were saying, they were looking for the feeling and how do we, we've ditched the booze. What do we put in its place at that time, when we would be associating that, okay, it's relaxation time. What else do we do? So you're absolutely right. People have had to think about new habits. And one of the things that I find most fascinating is that when people do start to feel better and they start to sort of emerge from, whatever's been holding them back, creativity is very often the first thing that starts to somehow seem possible. Whereas before, I have this phrase, alcohol actually steals your joy. And I'm sure many other addictions do too. But there's just something magical about the way people can just start to find their creativity again. But one question I'm often asked is, but are we all creative?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've got an answer for that. Yes.
I thought you'd say that.
We are all creative. We all have creativity within us. Now, the most amazing thing about creativity, thing one, it's really come up to the fore with this lockdown scenario. People have been at home thinking, okay, what do I do now? I can't go out. I can't do all the usual things that would feed my feeling that I need to, get out and about, see people, go shopping, go to whatever. All that was taken away suddenly. So now we're left with this void. What do we do? It's interesting that humans, since cavemen, start drawing, start making things, start crafting, start sketching, start journaling, start writing, start playing music. And one thing I've learned from my research, I've done a lot of research into creativity to write this book. Creativity is healing. It's a very healing process. Part of the thing is, if I put it in spiritual terms, you're connecting with your stream. You're connecting with the flow. And the flow is really something we all have. It's like whatever's flowing through our veins, whatever is making this amazing planet swivel on its axis and move across the universe, and with all the planets lined up, whatever is holding that force all together, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. That spirit is the flow, and the flow can come to any of us at any time. When I interviewed a lot of people. I interviewed people like David Lynch, the film director. I interviewed Paul McCartney. I interviewed Russell Brand, Katie Tunstall. A lot of songwriters said, for example, when they get an idea, that their songwriting, an idea comes along, it drops down. They know they've got to catch it before it goes to the next person. So it's almost like it's floating in the clouds and you have to jump up and catch it. That's one concept or paradigm of what ideas might be like. Are we all creative? Indeed we are. Yeah. And I think one of the things of quietening the mind and getting quieter and softer and more in tune with what's going on inside yourself, that allows really this aspect of you that's the creative part of you to bloom. And that is what has been happening a lot to a lot of people during lockdown, because we've allowed ourselves to get quiet enough and stopped all these daily distractions to find out a bit more about who we really are.
Yeah. And I know in the book you talk about writing, you talk about journaling. It's something that in the Sober Club I talk about absolutely all the time, because it feels so important to actually write down by hand, how you're feeling and get that, get those thoughts out. Yeah. I know that some people have a problem when they start writing, because they have this concept that if they're going to write something down, it then needs to be edited, or is it going to be published, or what's the point? Oh, I'm not a writer. But would you agree that it's not about the publishing or the editing or it being any, in inverted commas, good? It literally is almost like a form of meditation, just getting it out there.
It is absolutely a form of meditation. Journaling is extremely powerful, and I think if we all knew the power of it, we would all do it all the time. It's really a way of yourself, your inner self, to talk to you through the hand. It's much better to write by hand onto a piece of paper with a pen or a pencil than to type. It's a different process. It's different connections with the neurons in your mind. And the process of actually writing by hand slows it all down and gives yourself time to really get your ideas clear. And by getting them down on the page, you get them out of your head, which gives you more headspace and more airtime in your mind to realize what you think. And I'm a big fan of Julia Cameron, who wrote The Artist's Way. She's wonderful. I'm doing some a thing with her at the moment, actually, and she talks about 3 pages, right? 3 pages every morning, and she calls it morning pages. And she says sometimes page 1, page 2, you'll just be like, oh, what am I going to write? But it's page 3 where the real stuff tumbles out. It's like the stuff that's been whirring around in our unconscious, almost unseen, will find its way onto the page and give you amazing insights.
I remember I interviewed Julia because I was on Hay House Radio for a long time, and I interviewed Julia when she wrote The Right to Write. I don't know if you've seen that one of the follow-ups to The Artist's Way. And I remember asking her, I'm just trying to remember I can't remember how I exactly phrased the question, but it was about the fact that, well, I suppose I was asking her, how does just letting it all out then, how does that actually help? Because particularly in some cases, you might be writing down a whole stream of negative stuff. I mean, it might literally be, I'm fed up with this and I'm fed up with that, and I hate this person, and and even sort of hatred of yourself and others, and the whole spill out can actually be quite negative. So I remember saying to her, how does it help? And well, I'm guessing you can probably tell me what she answered, because I can't remember exactly, but I know that it was, the kind of concept was by acknowledging this, somehow later on in the day, you get a different thought come in, and it's almost as if you allow your unconscious mind to work on it all from a different perspective.
We are, as human beings, we're a walking bag of bones, emotions, programming and belief systems. Now, when we get clear and often our belief systems are so under the bonnet, we don't even know what they are. We don't know what is controlling us and making us do things. For example, if you smoke too much, drink too much, use drugs or whatever, things you don't want to be doing, but you do them anyway, we're being driven by something that we don't really know what it is that's driving us. And it's important to put the microscope on that, magnifying it, and by actually facing it face to face, you can dissolve negative aspects of yourself just by acknowledging it. So this process of writing will get you clear about how you're feeling and what you're thinking about. It will give you inspiration and new ideas, and it'll get you very straight on what your priorities are. Because once you start writing, it's almost like letting out a valve, like from a pressure cooker. If I do classes and people start journaling, I can see the relief on people's faces, and suddenly they'll really start scribbling really, really fast as it all tumbles out. The more you do it, it's ideally a daily practice. Do it every day, and you'll really notice the difference. And you'll make different decisions during the day. Your conscious awareness is much more clear. You have clarity, and also it's a great way to set goals, intentions, what you want to do tomorrow, what you want to do next week, what you want to do this lifetime. Get it down on paper. And you're writing for yourself, no one else.
Absolutely.
So you don't need to think about, I need to edit this, it needs to be good, it needs to make sense. It doesn't need to make sense. The unconscious does not make sense. We often do not make sense. That's okay. This is purely a creative exercise, which will have huge benefits.
Where do you feel that creativity meets self-care? Because another thing that I bang on about the whole time is the importance of self-care, and most of us are really actually very bad at it.
I think creativity is self-care. It's one of the aspects of self-care, along with nutrition. I think nutrition is very, very important. Quietening the mind is very, very important. Meditating is fantastic. Having awareness that your words and your emotions and your actions have meaning in the world and make a difference. So creativity is an outlet and is an expression, allows you to express yourself in different ways. It might be through paint, through colour, through movement, through dancing, through singing. It doesn't really matter what the art form is. There are many art forms. And in a way, human beings are unique in having this need for creative outlets. And I think when you get into creativity, it is absolutely an aspect of self-care and one that will nourish you and make you feel better. It's a great way to feel better, is to get creative. Also, if you have worries, and many people do, it's a great way to take your mind off it. You get stuck into a good book, get stuck into listening to some beautiful music, making music, whatever it is. It will take your mind off the worry bone. You know, we all have this mind chatter inside our heads going blah, 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 blah. When you get creative, you haven't got time to do the creativity and get wrapped up in your blah, blah, blah voice. Unless, of course, it's criticizing you for what you're doing. But you have a choice to turn that down and do something more interesting instead.
Definitely. And what do you think it means then to be, you use the phrase, how to be a creative maverick?
Yeah. Well, the concept of maverick really appeals to me. You know, someone who breaks the rules. And, you know, I worked with a lot of mavericks in my celebrity PR days. You know, they were mavericks. They broke the rules. They didn't do things in the way that people expected them to. I love that. Yeah. And I think, again, you know, if you want to be creative, get creative and do things differently. I think that's why the young generation coming through, you know, have so much potential for creating a new world, a better world, because they're not bound by the rules. They haven't learned yet where the edges are and what the rules look like. They're creating their own rules, and so they have the opportunity to really make better sense of the world and to do more interesting things. I think if we all take on more of a mantle of being a maverick, we can create the extraordinary. And I think that's what we should be doing. This life is extraordinary. We shouldn't be getting dragged into the day-to-day and pulling us down with all the day-to-day problems. Get excited, get inspired, you know, choose something else, choose something new. You know, you can make new choices every day if you want. And every choice you make every day leads to a new kind of life. You can decide to give up this thing that's not making you happy. You can decide to drop friends that are toxic. You can decide to stop complaining about everything in your life and see the good. You know, it's a point of view we're talking about, Joni.
Totally. I mean, I'm 100% with you. Absolutely agree. What would you say then to those people who are really at the moment sort of stuck in the darkness, really, and kind of just feeling really quite depressed and down, and they don't have any motivation, and they literally can't see the first step?
Absolutely.
What would be
and I've been there myself. You know, I've been in that place, so I can understand that place. I think it's very important to nourish yourself and eat well. Yeah. That means eating fresh, organic if you can, drinking healthy things, dropping caffeine and fizzy drinks, for example, watching what you eat. Make sure when you eat it, you feel better and lighter, not heavy and so be mindful when you're eating. So all the inputs are really important. How you run your brain, thinking about nice things, not thinking about all the negative things. If you can, try and retune. Imagine your brain is like a musical instrument. Is it making nice harmonic sounds, or is it out of tune and complainy? Make it retune your mind, like you're retuning a guitar or something, and try and brighten it up. Reach out to friends who uplift you.
I think connection
Leave the
is
friends
so
alone
isn't it?
who are negative or bring you down or criticize you. Often that can be members of the family. Yeah. Call them out. If they start criticizing you all the time, call them out, going, you know what, that's hurting me. Yeah. And take that, your comments, as yours. Don't put it back to them like, you are doing this to me, because they will fight you if you do that. If you say, I feel upset. You know, someone upset me this weekend by Yes, someone upset me this weekend, and I'm going to have a conversation with them about how it upset me, not how rotten they were, but how it affected me. Because no one can argue. You can't argue with me about how I feel. That's how I feel. So being honest and having some good chats, being a good friend to people, leaning in, and the best thing you can do to feel better is help other people. That's
absolutely.
one of the great things to do is help other people.
That. It's so true. It is so
Help-
true. I'm sure I've said before.
Help others.
Yeah, I think years and years ago when one of my family members was in a really deep depression, and I felt so frustrated because I couldn't think, I was not living anywhere near her, and I couldn't think of anything that I could suggest to everything I suggested was just no, sort of can't be asked, just everything was no. And I felt this real sense of sort of panic that I couldn't help her. And then I came up with one simple idea, which was that her neighbor, who's disabled, really likes to read the newspaper every day. And so I made her go and buy a newspaper for him. And that tiny little thing made all the difference. Only forced herself to do it because it was for someone else. And as you said before, kindness is good for you, isn't it?
It's
and
really good
doing
for you.
something for someone else helped her.
You only have to uplift your mood for a very short space of time. We're talking even 5-10 minutes. Make yourself feel better. It might be watching a comedy show, something like this, to make you laugh, or go talk to someone who makes you laugh, listen to something funny. It's impossible to smile and laugh whilst feeling down and in the dark steps. They're different emotions at the opposite end of the scale. So work on changing your primary default emotion and take it from feeling down and depressed to feeling upbeat. Laugh, pretend to begin with. Pretend that you feel happy. Act as if you feel happy. Smile. Have the mannerisms of someone who's happy. I'm not saying we should pretend, but pretend to everyone all the time that we're feeling okay. Of course, you have to be honest about how you feel. But if you help yourself raise your emotion, even 1 or 2 degrees, you're going to feel so much better. And try and get some good sleep. Don't drink caffeine and stuff before you go to sleep. Don't watch hectic movies or look at your phone and stuff. Give yourself 2 or 3 hours before bedtime to really relax, read a book. Listen to some music, chill out.
Lovely.
Meditate.
I love your optimism and all of the stuff you're talking about. And I had no idea until I was reading the press release for the new book that you have had a real serious illness that you healed yourself from. And if you're happy to talk about it, I'd love to hear that story.
Yeah. Well, I went to meet my neighbour for a cup of tea and I was an hour late. And she said, Suze, you're never late. What's up? I said, I forgot how to get here. She said, what? This is our favourite cafe we went to every day. And I said, yeah, and I wasn't sure where I parked the car either. And she said, this just isn't like you. You're acting very strange. I need to get you to a doctor. And I went, I am fine. I'm not going to doctors. Next thing, she piles me into the car, takes me off, and I get checked. And I have a huge brain tumour. I had no idea.
How long ago was this?
This was about 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I don't drink. I don't take drugs. I meditate and eat really well. So I was like, where has this come from? I did have a very stressful working life for many years, doing all that Hollywood stuff and running PR agencies and stuff like this. So I had many years of being stressed full on with no downtime. And I've used a lot of cell phones next to my ear, which I'm sure didn't help. But anyway, I got diagnosed and they said, you've got 6 weeks to live. And you probably won't make it, and start making some plans.
Oh, my goodness.
But I had this intuition, Janie. I knew it wasn't my time.
Wow.
I've got a son. I'm looking after him as a sole parent. And I thought, I'm not going anywhere. And he knew the same. Plus, I've got this artillery toolbox of amazing techniques. So I thought, this is going to happen to anyone. If anyone can get out of this, it's me. So I very quickly upped everything, upped all my techniques, hypnosis, meditation, theta healing, talking a good game, reframing stuff, telling my unconscious to change what it was producing cellular in my body. I used all these different techniques. CBD oil was amazing. I was hypnotized every day. I did theta healing every day.
Were you having conventional treatment or medication as well?
I was in hospital, and I would have my headphones on being hypnotized by this hypnotist friend, and the doctors would come in and say, "Oh, okay, time for your medication and chemo and stuff." I'd go, "Shh." They go, "What are you doing?" I'm getting hypnotized. And they would roll up their eyes thinking she's bonkers. Wow. But, I walked out alive, and 2 years later, here I am, with a whole new life and a big story to tell. Wow. And really, I cured myself of brain cancer, which was a massive tumor, and it shrunk. It shrunk on the first scan. They said, "You have very little time to live. Get your family over here immediately." I was in Spain at the time, and my family flew out the next day. They said, "Don't leave it a week because she may not be here." They flew immediately. And I had a scan, and as I was going into the scanner, Janie, I had this flash of light, and this little voice in my head went, "You're going to be okay, girl. We're going to give you 3 scans. One's awful, the second's shrunk, and the third, you're going to be clear. Trust us. You're going to write a book about it, and people are going to be inspired." So I kind of had that voice in my head, if we're talking about voices in the mind chatter, and it was clear as anything. That was my intuition telling me I was going to get out of this, and I did. And when the doctors took the 3rd scan, they said, "This looks like a miracle." And I said, "Well, it kind of is, but I've got some good tools." Wow. So, I healed myself, and I'm very proud of that.
God, I'm not surprised. How amazing. So, because, I mentioned that because, again, sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, it's all very well for you. You've got this going on and this going on." But, the crap stuff can happen to anyone. Can't it? Really?
Very unlikely it would have happened to me, because I was very clean living, early to bed and, not a crazy life at all. And it happened to me. So, and people can't, the good thing about having a story as mad as mine is that people can't say, "Well, you don't know what it's like." Exactly. It's all very well you being positivity. And people used to be very annoyed about my positivity. And even in hospital, I would say to the doctors, "I don't want negative chat around my bed about, awful things I can't control. I don't want that." And people would say to me, "But you have to face reality." And I was like, "No, I don't. I don't want that kind of reality talked about in front of me." And it would annoy people that I was being this positive. They were saying, "You're just not realizing how ill you are." And I said, "I do realize, but I'm absolutely certain I'm going to get through this."
Fantastic.
So it did annoy
about
people.
The side effects of the medication, though.
Yeah, I really was. But I got hypnotized to not suffer with that. And, I was able. The mind is very strong, Janie, as you know. Yeah. It's extremely strong. And when we talk to our unconscious mind, we can create miracles. And I got my unconscious mind involved in my healing process, and I was healed, and I didn't really I'm healthier than I've ever been now, and I was full of chemotherapy and had stem cell replacement therapy. The doctors were amazing, but under normal circumstances, those levels would kill you, the treatment itself. Yeah. But I seem to have come off well.
Fantastic. What an amazing story. Wow, you're such an inspiration. It's so brilliant. It's so brilliant, isn't it? So, just I suppose, on that note then, I suppose that the thing that that I find very distressing over this whole lockdown episode is the level of fear.
Yes,
and
fear and
we know that fear is very contagious and
not good for you,
and damaging. Yeah, exactly. It's so damaging. And I just wonder what you would how can someone who knows they're gripped in that fear, how can they just help themselves to get free from that?
Yeah, my heart goes out to people who are in fear and full of anxiety. And we have a world, and all the media channels, the classic news channels, are pumping out fear and terror stories the whole time. It is not surprising that people are scared. What I would say, take life one day at a time. Be very grateful for what you do have all the time. And try and bring to it some positive emotion. Even though you might be frightened and fearful, just go, look at life one day at a time. Can I get through today? Can I get through tomorrow? And don't try and look too far ahead, because none of us knows what's ahead. But I am a positive character. I do believe that everything will turn out good in the end. We have already seen on certain news channels, depends what you watch, good things coming up. You know, racism, all sorts of topics have become into the public eye in a way that we could not have dreamed of. Species are coming back into the oceans. Animals are revisiting. Animal populations are recovering. The forests are getting healthier. The ozone level is getting healthier. So many good things have happened on a worldwide, global, macro level that we can't pretend that it's not had good effects. We've also got to know our neighbours. We've also got to lean in and help each other. I've helped many people during this lockdown. Many people in lockdown have helped me. And so it goes on.
Community has become stronger, definitely.
We have built ownership of the fact that we need to look after each other as human beings. And it's beyond the money. It's beyond it's about humans being decent and kind to each other now.
Absolutely.
And I think we're coming into a more of a kind aspect to civilization than we've ever had before, and realizing it's not all about more commerce, more profits. You know, we need to take care of this planet, we need to take care of our resources, and we need to take care of each other.
Absolutely. So what would you like people to get from this book then? The Art of Creativity, 7 Powerful Habits to Unlock Your Full Potential. Great title. What would you like people to get from this?
Thank you. Well, I think, you know, it ties into my story. You know, I feel like I'm here to inspire people now that no matter what place you're in, how down you might feel, how you might feel that life is stacked against you, you can get through it. You can get through the other side. And I'm a believer that we are meant to be having joyful, happy lives. And this book takes you on a journey of how to do that with creativity. Creativity is fun. It's not a nasty thing. It's a great thing. You know, it's fun to be creative. And don't feel judged by it. You know, there's a chapter there on meditation. There's a chapter there on journaling. There's a chapter there about being a maverick. There's and how to make brainwave states that make you feel better. It's all about feeling better. So I created a book that I felt would be a good handbook for people to really heal and feel better, and lead a life that they're having fun with. And it's a good combination and companion to my other book on happiness. You know, you've got happiness, success, and now you've got creativity. These are all things that are going to help you feel better. And I do believe that's in everyone's grasp. I really do. And it's a very playful book. It's a very light book. There's nothing heavy about it. Lots of fun exercises to do. And it's just really great.
Brilliant. Susie, I really appreciate it. I wish you every success with it. I think it's going to do brilliantly, and the other one when that's re-released as well. So, and I guess people can find more about you. Do you want to just give us your website?
Yeah, I'd love it if you have a look at my website and check out. There's information about the book and my podcasts on there, susiepearl.com. And you can find me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram every day, and you can get hold of me and message me there as well at Susie Pearl X, and a little bit on Twitter and Facebook. So yeah, do lean in. I'd love to hear your stories and hear what you've been up to, and answer any questions as well. I love talking about all this stuff. It's so interesting and so fun, and I've got lots of things to share.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Janie. I've so enjoyed
much.
connecting with you again. It's been so nice. Thank you for having me.
Lovely to chat. Thank you so much, Susie.
All right.
So I'll put the link to the book in the show notes, and make sure when you see Susie or hear Susie or watch her, whatever, on the Graham Norton show, she might be featured on Oprah's book club as well. I bet she ends up on there too, which is very cool. And when you see her on those shows, you can remember that you heard her here first. I've always wanted to say that. So anyways, I promised you that interview with David O'Brien from Gin-esque. My guest is David O'Brien, Master Distiller of Gin-esque. Isn't that a great phrase, Master Distiller? Welcome, David.
Hi, Jenny.
Yeah, really, really lovely to chat to you. Now, your brand of alcohol-free gin, if we want to call it that, my son absolutely loves it, and he is a gin fan. So that's praise indeed for you, David. I'm I'm
Great.
really interested in how the drink, how it all came about. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to
Yeah.
create this.
Okay. Um, I'm a plant biochemist with 20 plus years experience of working with botanicals, making extracts of all sorts of different kinds, from multiple applications in food and beverage, pharmaceutical and cosmetics. And I've been distilling since the late 1990s. I've been distilling medicinal herbs for their therapeutic properties. And about 3 years ago, I noticed with the rise of seedlip, low and no alcohol-free sector as a whole,
Mm.
that there was a gap in the market for a product which was a pure product in the sense it was 100% distilled.
Yeah, so
Um,
let's just explain what that means then, because quite a few companies will start with alcohol, right, and then they remove the alcohol so that it then becomes 0.5%. Can you just explain
yes.
that? Explain that for anyone who's not quite clued in.
Okay, well, yes, the vast majority of the products on the market, what they do is they use alcohol for the preliminary extraction,
Yeah.
and then they distill the alcohol off. Whereas what we do is we don't use alcohol at any stage of the process. We have developed a technique where we can extract the same flavor intensity from the botanicals without using alcohol.
And how
Yeah.
do you manage to get the great flavors then?
Well, I mean, I'll just take you a bit of a spiel. Like if you think of gin is evolution of a process dating back millennia, where initially people would have extracted medicinal herbs for their therapeutic properties using alcohol,
Mm.
and that over time that's evolved into drinks like what we know today, like gin and so many of the botanicals present in gin are not just there for flavor; they're also there because there is some medicinal quality associated with them.
Mm.
If you take, for example, juniper and coriander, which are common ingredients in gin, they have what are known as carminative properties. They help digestion. They help to relieve bloating and griping pains in the stomach.
Mm.
And we've included ingredients which do have these sorts of carminative properties in our products, but they also provide great flavor. And
Yeah.
it's about matching the sort of balancing the different flavors. I mean, I've got two products, like one is a herbal base, one is a spicy base. So it's about balancing those different flavors to make sure that you get the top notes coming through, but also the body of it as well. The ingredient as well, the whether it's the citrus notes as well. Like
Mm.
I'm using as an example here. So I mean that's how we've come about.
Mm. You must be
Doing it.
really proud of yourself then to have created this product, because it's unique and it tastes great.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean it's the thing about our products is the flavor holds its own when you mix it with tonic or another mixer. Unlike a lot of products out there where once you dilute it with tonic, you lose the taste somewhat of the
Mm.
product. But we've deliberately made it strong on flavor, so that actually you would really taste the true essence of the botanicals
Mm.
as you consume it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your plan for the brand then? Tell us a little bit more about where you're at right now, and
Okay.
where you'd like
Um,
to be, particularly when we get out out of the
um,
situation we're in now.
Um, well, we're based in Wales, and we're in quite a few local establishments in Wales, and we do sell online through the alcohol-free company based in London, and Arundo Drinks, also based in London, as well as on Amazon. And we also have our product in Ireland as well at the Virgin Mary Bar,
Oh
which is
yeah, of
where we
course.
launched the Silk Roots product at the Virgin Mary Bar, which is Europe's first dry cocktail bar, back in August of last year.
Such a cool
We,
name, isn't it? I love that.
we
Brilliant.
Yeah, what we did is we just took the products over. We didn't even have labels on our bottles. We just took the products over and just went into this bar because I was just screening the internet where we could actually sell this product. And lo and behold, in Dublin of all places, there was an
Hmm.
alcohol-free bar. So
Yeah.
we just went into the bar and we just presented the product to them, asked them to taste, see what they thought, and they said, "You don't need to do any further work with this. You can take it to market straight away. When can we
Great.
have it?" I said to us.
Brilliant.
So we launched there, and it's doing quite well there. So that's our base in Ireland, and we're also in Australia now as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we started there in, what was it, in May, June time.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it's sold through a company called Craft Zero.
Hmm.
They're an online distributor, wholesaler of low and no alcoholic drinks. And for the future, we've got strong interest from Canada, and we're keen to get into the US as well. So we're working on that, and various places in Europe as well. We would
That's
like
nice.
to be into. We would like to move into high-end venues in the UK as well, like bars, restaurants, and into some of the major high-end high street stores as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
So just tell us just briefly about the products. Just you these lovely names like Celtic Mist. Just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. What we're doing here is we're developing a travel diary associated with these products.
Oh wow!
So we love traveling, and I'm from Ireland. I'm a Celt, so I mean I was keen to bring out a product which captured, the culture of the Celtic nations through the traditional herbs which were used through the centuries, by the Celts. So that's where the Celtic Mist name comes about, because it contains herbs which are traditionally associated with the Celtic nations. Whereas the silk roots, my wife is from India, and a natural progression was to look at and look at the Silk Road, like take inspiration from the ancient trading route from China into the West, and that of which India played a central role. So that product is more of a, how would you say, it's more of a bolder take on gin. It's got clove and cardamom in there as well, as a few other spices like cinnamon, and which are very, they're endemic almost to India, and well associated with India, and that's also given us that inspiration, the different herbs and spices used in that region, to develop these products, and that's going to be a key quality of our characteristic of our products. That they will, be capturing cultures from around the world, and being expressed through the ingredients in the actual bottle.
Yeah, fantastic. Great. Well, it's fantastic to chat to you, David. Is there anything else you'd like anyone to know about your brand that I haven't asked?
We use organic herbs exclusively.
Oh dear, right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, there's really a lot of love and thought goes into this, isn't there?
Yeah, and we don't add any flavors, colors, sweeteners, or sugar.
Right.
So our products are calorie free as well.
Oh, right. Oh, are they? That's actually something I was going to ask you in terms of the calorific value. So really it just is with whatever tonic or whatever you add in.
Yes. Yeah.
And would you say it's best served with a tonic or
I mean the Celtic Mist. Now, if we look at the Celtic Mist, that's more like a traditional gin. So a sort of a Celtic Mist and tonic will be the typical serve there, where it pairs very well with basically you take 50 mils of your product, pour it over ice in a highball, and top it up with tonic. I typically go for between 1 part of product being 50 mils to between 3 to 4 parts of tonic, and then garnish it with a slice of lemon and a sprig of fresh rosemary.
Wow.
Now the tonics, it goes well with, any of the fever tree Indian tonics it goes well with, the fever tree Mediterranean tonic, and there's a grapefruit Fentimans grapefruit tonic as well. It goes really well with. Whereas the silk root, because that's very punchy, it goes very well in cocktails, like ones which are based on, berry juices like hibiscus juice as well, and strawberry juice, raspberry juice, so on. And the Virgin Mary Bar in Dublin have a very interesting cocktail where they call the banana beer.
Oh wow!
which is the silk roots with a couple of other ingredients and a beer, a non-alcoholic beer, as well as a banana cordial.
Amazing.
I'm just dying to taste that. When I come back next, I will taste that.
Yeah, great.
So, but the silk roots goes very well with Fentiman's orange tonic water. So what you do is you take 50 mils of the product, pour it over ice in a highball, and top it up with the tonic, and add a slice of orange and a quill of cinnamon bark.
Nice.
The flavors. And so the Fentiman's orange tonic is that's the Valencian orange tonic, as well as the Fever Tree aromatic tonic containing Angostura bark as well, is very good. Really the choice is wide out there, like it's whatever personal preference with tonics. It goes well with so many different mixers.
Yeah, great. David, thank you so much. It's fascinating stuff. I'll get some of those recipes from you, and we'll pop them on the site. That's great. You inspired us, definitely. Thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
So I mentioned that we've got some Gin-esque to give away. We've got 3 gift packs altogether that include the Celtic Mist and the Silk Roots. So the prize is worth about 54 quid, I think. And we've got 3 of those to give away. So if you have a look at the show notes, you'll find all the details there about the competition. Lots of other interesting bits and bobs to give away as well. If you check out imperfectlynatural.com, or if you just look at the show notes, that'll send you through on the link there. And don't forget, you are very welcome to check out thesoberclub.com for support, accountability, inspiration, like-minded people, and masses of amazing content. And I get a lot of my guests to do an extra bit of content, exclusive bit of content just for Sober Club members. So there's always a little bit of extra in addition to what's going on in the podcast, and all of that for kind of fairly teeny amount of money every month, really. So please have a look, see if you want to come and join us. I can't believe we're nearly a year. The Sober Club is nearly a year old at the beginning of September. So we're definitely going to have to do something special for our first Sober Club-versary. I've got some great guests coming up, by the way, in the next few weeks on the podcast. Going to be talking to Sober Dave. Of course, I interviewed Sober Dave right at the beginning of his journey, way back, probably well over a year ago, I think now. So we're going to be chatting with Dave and a whole bunch of great guests. As always, please follow me on all the various social media accounts at Genuinely Grace, on Facebook at Genuinely Grace Loves. And I love getting your feedback. I love hearing from you. If you've got any suggestions for people that you think I should interview, I got a couple of great emails this week, actually, and so I'm going to try and track people down if I can. And I'm looking forward to interviewing Mandy and Kate from Love Sober. They've got a fantastic new book out, so looking forward to speaking to them on the podcast very soon as well. I'll see you same time next week. Don't forget, if you're struggling, always reach out for help. There's definitely help available for you. And I'll say again, if you have ditched the booze during lockdown, wow, what a legacy. Well done, you. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.